What's up, guys? Hope you're having an awesome day. Today we're going to be doing our first modification for the Tacoma, and that is going to be installing the Expedition Essentials 3T PAM mount. This is going to go above the dash and allow me to mount all my accessories using the Ram mount. They have their screw holes all along the front face here as well as on the top. And then they also have a USB port here in the middle, which will be nice. That way I can have my accessories plugged in without having to have cords running all over. And then here I have a Garmin mount that I'm going to hardwire in for my GPS, as well as a RAM mount for the tablet that I'm going to be using. And I'll end up going over all that stuff, the comms and navigation devices that I'm going to be using a little bit later. All right, so first things first, we're going to want to pop off this bezel, and you should be able to just pull around the edges here, and it will release from the clips, just like such. You got your clips here in the back. You can just pull that out and the whole faceplate comes off. Now that the bezel is off, you can go ahead and remove these four bolts holding the stereo in place. So we are removing those bolts. That way we can get the two top brackets on that will support the mount that goes on the dash, and then also so we can feed the wires back behind it to go down to a power source. All right, the next step is going to be removing the screw down here by the airbag panel. And what you're going to want to do is pull this trim piece out, just this corner up here, and then you can take and start popping off this panel for all the AC and climate control functions like such without dropping your radio, hopefully. Just pop that out. And that is why you're popping this corner off right here, is so you can get it out from underneath it. And then just leave your wires attached like such and let that hang right there while you do everything. And then we will go ahead and route our wires back behind the stereo brackets along there, and then down here, and we will most likely be tapping into the cigarette lighter. So now what you're going to want to do if you're going to be tapping into the cigarette lighter is disconnect it here in the back. You should be able to just feel the connector, pull that out, and then you're going to push this sensor out, or that switch, and you can push the cigarette lighter wires through here so you can access them to be able to tap into them. All right, so now we're gonna work on some stuff outside of the vehicle here. They send you with these little crimps that kind of crimp into the wire. They have a little needle there. You place it and screw it down. And then on the other side, you place your wires in there and screw it, and it will clamp down on that. Well, since I have this that I want to wire in, as well as the harness going to the dash mount, what I'm gonna do is make a little extension harness that will have two leads off that will plug into these. That way, if I ever want to disconnect them, I can disconnect them without having to cut any wires, and I'll still have this. Just like that, we have two splitters, and now we can disconnect them when we want. I'm gonna grab some heat shrink and heat shrink all this, keep it sealed up, and it'll keep this probably from backing off. Then we won't have to worry about any electrical problems. All right, so now we are gonna crimp these onto the wires in the plug here. You're gonna wanna hook the positive wire up to the purple on the plug. We will go ahead and back this off, and this will slide around the wire. And then you can thread this on like such, and it will puncture the wire and crimp it on. And then for the ground, it's just the other wire there. There's only two of them. White wire is ground, purple is positive. All right, so what we're gonna do now is feed our wires. We have the main wire here that goes to the dash mount, and then the other wire is gonna be for the GPS. So we'll sneak this back behind the stereo here, and then down to the plug. Now what we can do is set this stereo back up in here, hopefully. Okay, just like that. And we will plug in our wires, positive to positive. forget to pop this sensor back in, or this switch. Like that. Now, should be able to push this off to the side and pop this back in. And pop this in. Now we can place that screw back up underneath there. All right, now we can install our supplied brackets. This one goes over here on the side of the stereo, and then this one goes over here. You just use the factory original bolts and run it through these and then into the stereo. There we go, we got our brackets installed. Now we're gonna go to the back of the vehicle here and we'll start drilling our holes for the top plate. All right, next up is gonna be mounting this bracket that goes on the top edge of the dash piece. What you're gonna wanna do is put this on here, slide it just till it stops, and then you're gonna go along here and mark all 5 screw locations as well as this little divot. You're gonna wanna notch this divot out for the wires to come through. For these slot locations, you want to try to center those when you mark it. Got all of our 5 markings and the notch. Now we are ready to drill the holes on this. Forgot to mention, 3/16 drill bit is what you're going to drill all of them. Don't drill through your hand, that would suck. And then for this notch, you can either use a little Dremel or you can just use the drill bit, which is what I'm gonna do. All right, got a little extra wire pulled out for that. Put this thing in here like such. All right, now I think we have enough cord. I had to undo everything and take it back off so I could pull a little bit more cord since I had it zip tied up. I think we should be good to go now. All right, the bracket is officially installed. I've got my GPS mount set up right here that is hardwired in with everything else. USB plugs are working, and then this other mount is going to end up being for my tablet. I'll have to get some extra mounts to get that all set up, but pretty happy with how the install went with this thing. It was fairly easy. You do have to take quite a bit apart here, not too big of a deal, but it's nice and clean. And then when you take off these mounts, if you're not wanting to run anything, it definitely looks really clean and is not out of place. So very happy with the install on this, and I like how it turned out. It should work very well for holding the devices that I need to on trips, and it doesn't look like anything is going to wiggle too much. So that is going to be it for this video. Make sure you stay tuned for the other Tacoma videos. We're going to be working on the lift and bumpers, stuff like that here soon. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.